Hello, baby.
I was crazy once.
I'm thinking of a number.
I'm a gangsta, baby. And this right
Watch
here.
out! We got a
Yeah,
badass
watch out.
over here.
Gangsta,
I'm doing the
baby.
pose. I'm doing the
Yeah,
pose
watch-
from the meme.
From the meme. What's your favorite
Yeah.
meme?
Definitely why you know guy.
Oh, why you know?
Why you know wear pinstripes? That should be the art for this episode.
I
Like
forgot
a
that we
rage
can-
comic. We could do a
bring,
rage
bring
comic.
back rage comics.
Yeah. I know that we can. I forgot that you can do that now with podcasts. Like you can put in like the
Is my audio
different
coming in
art.
too hot?
You sound great, baby. You
Okay.
sound as cool as
a
a summer
cucumber?
day.
Well,
Just
quick
kidding. That'd be too hot.
An announcement update for everybody. This is the
Update.
first episode in a
Break
while
it.
that I've recorded on my actual PC, which has been broken for half a year.
That's
Yay.
right. Oh my God.
Uh,
Okay.
Big
Congratulations.
Congrats!
On the PC
And to
time.
celebrate, I'm gonna turn off my ceiling fan because I might be picking that up.
Oh, you're correct.
Yeah.
Perfect. Turn off that fan, and I guess Spencer kind of just hinted at it. I guess, just so we don't get too far, I say it every time we listen to your feedback, and then we end up talking about something dumb for 15 minutes. So I'm going to stop it right here
Okay.
and say that we are indeed talking about pinstripe and pinstripe
Enchiladas.
and chalkstripe suits.
Yep.
That is the subject of today's episode.
It is.
I also think it's kind of fun because I, to my knowledge, and maybe I have to look at the schedule again. But it's been a while since we've had like a specific. I call them specific item podcast episodes, and I don't think that we've done one in a little while.
Not in a minute and it's a good name for them because this is the most specific item. It's not. But it could be.
Yeah, I mean, we did brown suits, and
We did brown
and
suits.
technically, you could have a brown pinstripe or chalkstripe suit. So this is getting just a bit more specific.
That's right.
You know?
And eventually we're going to get more specific than that.
We're
going
gonna
to
talk
all
about
about
purple-
worsted.
Okay.
And then we'll go into specific colors. We could honestly maybe do an episode about a gray pinstripe if we wanted to get that specific.
Yeah, but I can't
We
write
don't
a
want
1,000
to.
words on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you would have said you were going to go specific. I thought you were going to be like purple socks. Like that's a
Oh, purple
specific-
socks.
It's
We
not
could
just about-
do an episode about purple socks.
I'm gonna go into
Yeah.
just raw fabric next.
Yeah.
Just raw fabric.
Yeah.
I like it raw.
Just
Raw
a whole
silk.
spool.
Raw silk ties. Raw silk ties are kind of a very big hashtag menswear thing.
Or how
I
about
think
raw suits?
Oh,
Double
we
raw?
did talk about those already in the novelty, in the vintage, the niche and novelty vintage episode.
That's right.
Hey, check out watch Killers of the Flower Moon and like watch like an hour into it until you see like a raw suit or something,
It's great. And then stop the movie.
and then be done. That's it. That's all
Just
you gotta
kidding.
see.
You should watch the movie.
All of it. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Style and Direction, a menswear podcast without the stuffiness for enthusiasts.
It's the Enthusiast. That's right.
Enthusiast is
We're
back.
rebranding
That's
as
right.
Enthusiast.
Welcome everybody. I'm one of your three hosts. I'm Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO.
I'm MJ.
And yeah, we're talking about pinstripe and chalkstripe suits. Again, I'm looking at the schedule. It is indeed confirmed. We haven't talked about anything specific this whole year.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I mean, I
This
guess
is
our hair.
the year of non-specificity.
Yeah. I mean, last year was kind of like this too, I think.
Yeah.
I did brown suits, and then maybe band neckties or something like that. I don't
Maybe.
remember. Everything just goes into a big old blur, you know?
That's right.
But,
it goes into a big blender.
But this is kind of fun
Brandon.
because, unfortunately, this might be locked out for MJ because I don't think you own a pinstripe anything. Oh no, he's shaking his
I
head.
do not.
I used to, but I don't think I own any right now. I have I guess I
yeah.
have striped. I have stripes, but it's like a navy suit with red and blue stripes.
You know, we can add those into the
Yeah.
to the images at the very least here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that so first off, to answer my own question, I currently own a chalkstripe suit. Navy chalkstripe, but I have owned pinstripe suits in the past. Spencer, as he said, has owned them in the past as well. And yeah, it kind of is a connection to our past a little bit here. If you guys have seen, if you go back to like 2015 to 2018, you will see photos of me and Spencer wearing pinstripe suits. I think both of no, was yours was double breasted, right?
Yes,
And
I did have.
mine is double breasted as well.
One of the things I regret giving away the most.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was a 70s Ralph Lauren?
No,
No,
it wasn't
just
Ralph
the
Lauren.
70s.
I don't know what brand it was, but it was a 70s kind of 20s style. Like late 60s, early 70s, does 20s. Gray
Yeah.
flannel pinstripe suit. And it was, or no, that was a chalk stripe, I think.
Yeah, so let's first talk about that. What's the difference?
One is made with a pin. The other one, you just draw chalk on it, like Harold.
That's right. Oh yeah, one of the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
It
Oh, sorry,
made
that's a crayon, not chalk.
That's a sequel, actually.
Yeah. He links up
crayon
with
stripe.
Chalk World.
That's right. Yeah, no, he opens the door to Chalk World, Chalk Zone. Remember that?
Chalk
Chalk
Zone,
Zone,
that's right. That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What's the difference between the two here? So, according to Wikipedia, is that like my version of Webster's Dictionary defines?
Yes. You could just say Webster's Dictionary defines pinstripe
as a pattern of very thin stripes of any color running in parallel. The pattern is often found
In fashion.
Where else would it be found?
Architecture.
Uh,
I don't know.
I
In
guess it's
style,
it's
in
fashion.
swag.
Furniture maybe?
Okay, fashion design, which is what this links out to, says here is the art of applying design, aesthetics, and clothing construction and natural beauty to clothing and its accessories. So I guess
How about
the
unnatural
sports uniforms
beauty?
count? I guess is sports uniforms fashion?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Because okay, then yeah,
There-
what else would it not be?
You know,
We're
gonna get to the bottom of
pinstripe
this.
couch.
Sometimes Wikipedia just likes to just make trees of. I mean, talk about SEO, right? Like all of these links
Talk
in the
about
background.
freaking SEO.
Going back into each other.
Yeah.
To say, pinstripe is often compared to the similar chalk stripe. Pinstripes are very thin, often a 30th of an inch in width, and created with one single warp yarn.
Warp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: a lot of people go back and forth between this. Like, I feel like chalk stripe is when the stripes are faint, right? As if it was drawn by chalk, which is a very that's the whole thing of chalk. It's a very faded appearance versus like a bolder pinstripe.
It's very sharp.
It's very sharp. However, I wonder if the width of the stripes also plays into this, because I feel like a chalk would make a thicker width and pinstripes would be very thin, as if you were applying it by little pricks of pins.
That's right.
I feel like all of the information that I found is not helpful on differentiating between the two. Because there'll be like a photo of like a chalk stripe suit, then I'll scroll down and it'll say pinstripe suit, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't, maybe I don't know what the difference is here. What do you think the difference is, Spencer? I mean,
I would say, according to hespokestyle.com, which
Okay.
they just say that the difference is that chalk stripes are made from a series of threads rather than just one. So I think that's maybe the easiest way to differentiate.
But is this something you can like just look at? Because I feel again,
Well, I
think
I have a decent enough idea about the difference between chalk stripe and pinstripe, especially when you look at like close-up photos of it.
Oh, that's true.
I think you can definitely tell the difference, and I think I'd be pretty good at differentiating between the two. Because yes, chalk stripe does have kind of a quote fuzzier appearance.
There we go, fuzzy.
Yes. Like let me send you this right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you show it to me. I'm gonna send you an image in our chat.
Oh my god, I forgot. I'm on Ask Andy about clothes, and it's like, what about rope stripes and bead stripes? And I feel like that's exactly about how it's woven, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the bottom part is a bead stripe.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll put this photo in the show notes here.
But
I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I would say it too.
Yes, exactly.
But what if there was a pinstripe that was as wide as those? I guess you could, right? I mean, technically.
I guess
the
if
width,
it was a super
the width doesn't
wide
matter.
thread, yeah.
Yeah. Rope stripe is when it's like a twill appearance. And
Okay.
bead. But then I feel like I feel like chalk stripe automatically is. Wait, okay, no. This guy was like pinstripe. He did it with text, and so it's like pinstripe is like dashes with no spaces. Rope stripe is a slant, like in a
Okay.
like a slash,
Yes.
and then bead stripe is hyphens with spaces.
Oh my
And
god. Okay,
that's
so
that's how he typed it out. And then all of the images by the way, in this Ask Andy About Clothes forum, does not load. I'm assuming these are from like Photo Bucket or whatever fucking thing that forums would use back in the day, and that doesn't exist anymore.
unfortunately not. I don't know. I think menswear. We need to just invent a new language. I think. Just go back to the beginning and make everything clear. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
But if you were to ask me by looking at this He Spoke Style article without me scrolling down, I would say it's chalk on the left and pinstripe on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I think. If I scroll down, that's exactly what he's saying. So yeah.
Okay.
But-
Does anything talk about track stripes?
What's that?
So I'm not entirely sure. But this article on bondsuits.com, this might be a fun game. Just
Yeah.
looking at the photos from bondsuits.com and trying
Yeah.
to determine if the image shown is pinstripe or chalk stripe or bead stripe or this new one, track stripe. I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
far I agree with it, and then yeah, okay.
But this one is also like he's like making judgment calls. He's like, I consider this one to be a pinstripe rather than a chalk stripe, implying that it's open to interpretation, or maybe it's just the image isn't clear enough to like really say for sure. But hey, we'll include photos. I feel like we should have opened the podcast with a more clear definition between the two. But in general, I think chalk stripes are wider, and they have a fuzzier appearance.
Yes, as if drawn by chalk.
As if drawn by chalk, while pinstripes are usually narrower. They have a much sharper, like clean appearance to them.
Yeah.
And I think it's mentioned in the He Spoke Style article, so I'm going to check myself in just a moment. But I think typically pinstripes are more narrow than chalk stripes.
The stripes themselves are closer together. Is what you're
Yes,
saying.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
That is, I think, typical.
Yeah.
Typical.
I'm gonna agree with that. What's interesting here is, like, not only is this open to interpretation too, but I mean, I feel like the whole garment itself is so loaded. You know what I mean? With meaning and everything like that. Like, obviously, everything in clothing is coded as something because menswear is full of history. It's been tied to formality and utilitarian use cases as well as dress codes, and I feel like the pinstripe chalkstripe suit is one that is the most coded, I think. Like,
That's right.
yeah, I'm just saying because like compared to like yes, a navy suit is like, navy suits, solid suits are just kind of like normal. Gray might be more corporate, etc. But a pinstripe suit is like that feels like somebody when you see it.
Well, it's one like pattern that is really closely associated with a couple professions. As we said, like banking and finance, like it is first and foremost like a quote business pattern. This is like like we've talked about like patterns like Prince of Wales or just like checks in general, and those are more closely associated with casual wear or country wear, whatever.
Sportswear.
Sportswear,
Yep.
that's right. But pinstripes are definitely like a quote city and business pattern.
That's right.
So it's very associated with bankers and finance. It's also associated with gangsters, depending on what color suit you're wearing. And that's something I remember from a series of unfortunate events. I don't know which one. I think one where they're in the city or something. And they meet some people wearing pinstripe suits, and it's like now everybody knows that pinstripes are only worn by gangsters and bankers or something. And I'm like, huh. Or no, I think it also says Hollywood movie stars. Do you associate it with movie stars? Maybe back in the day, but
I
even
guess
then,
yeah.
When I think of like a movie star, a lot of times I'm imagining them wearing some kind of like especially the classic era. I'm imagining them wearing some like crazy plaid suit, you know, like very
I was about to
California
say.
sportswear.
Yeah, I was gonna say in my head when I think of movie star, I need to find like the actual picture this is like taken from, but I think of a guy doing the runaway collar on some like crazy houndstooth or plaid jacket. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's almost what Kevin Spacey's character wears. I mean, he's wearing it with a shirt and tie, but he's wearing a houndstooth jacket in the beginning of oh my god, LA Confidential, which we've done an episode on. And a couple of characters do, I think, wear that combination. Some background characters wear that in Gangster Squad. But yeah, I think it's interesting, though, because when I did look up and I got a whole bunch of inspo for this, I mean, yeah, Jimmy Stewart, Clark Gable, they're all wearing pinstripe suits. I'm sure, not John Powell. Who am I thinking of? Powell. William Powell has worn it. Is Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Is he an actor or that's
Yeah, he's
that's
an actor.
Okay, yeah. I've seen him wear that too. There's one of course Gary Cooper, one of the most famous photos of him wearing a pinstripe suit, like leaning on like a stair
Oh
railing.
yes, yeah.
And because of his like classically handsome face, he looks like a 90s RL model, which is obviously retroactively what RL was kind of going for in a lot of their marketing. Not Powell, Gary. Oh my God, not Gary Cooper. Yes, Gary
Douglas
Cooper.
Fairbanks?
One of them, whatever. The famous photo, he's wearing a flat cap or a newsboy cap with it, which is interesting because, like you were saying, Spencer, the pinstripe and chalkstripe suit is considered a business, business attire, but people might consider newsboy caps to be more casual, and that's because when you look back at the day, while movie stars and rich people and business people wore these things, these were also just like regular suits. Like they were largely considered to be a regular suit that you can wear and that was appropriate for business compared to plaids and like jackets with patch pockets or whatever. But you saw this like advertised right next to other types of suits. You see a lot of illustrations showing apparel arts. You see these idealized scenarios of like people at a club wearing solid suits and brown suits as well as pinstripe suits, and it's just funny to think about how even though back in the maybe the late teens to like the early 40s, like this was like a suit anyone could wear, and it eventually became a very specialized thing. I guess like kind of like hats, you know what I mean? Like fedoras were something that everyone wore, but now we just think of like old men kind of wearing them, or I mean, I guess, and today no one. So
I mean, one story that I've heard a lot going back to like my earliest days on like the Fedora Lounge, and
yeah,
I think not Alpha M. Who's the other guy? I'm losing.
Teaching Men's Fashion.
Teaching Men's Fashion. But I would go on, I stumble on his website occasionally. One story that always comes up, and it sounds like it. I don't know. I've always felt like this might be apocryphal, but is that pinstripes sort of got their connotations with banking in the Victorian era because the color and the spacing and the width of the stripe would be worn by bankers to kind of denote their position.
Oh, that's right.
Or like maybe what institution they worked for and stuff like that. But at the same time, it might not be apocryphal because obviously clothing used to have kind of more of a strong signal for who you are and what you did. Like, obviously, I think we've talked about this in the tie episode, but, striped ties started out as like, you could only wear a specific striped tie if you were in the club that issued it.
Right.
Or that they, were like different military units and stuff like that. So I could see something similar happening with pinstripe suits, but at a certain point they were just like, okay, this is a business day wear thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know I guess it's maybe more day wear than business because obviously like morning dress, like the coats there are pinstripe.
Or even the pants.
Or the pants are pinstripe. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of fun connotations to like workwear in a sense. I mean, like obviously Wabash stripe is different, but it's hard not to think of pinstripe when you first look at it, you know. And Wabash, you know, people had like workwear suits, like, you know, matching jacket and pants made out of denim or cotton, you know, whatever. That was a big part of it, and you could think of that as kind of like the casual version of pinstripe or something like that. It's also important to note that, you know, that these aren't the only stripes. Although nowadays it's pretty much, when you think of a striped suit, it is a pinstripe or chalk stripe or track stripe or fucking bead stripe, whatever the hell there is out there. But back in the day, like, there was like multiple variations of stripes. There was like, you know, like the triple stripe suits, you know, or whatever. You would have window pane with stripes. Like, it's fucking crazy. And so it was interesting to see, like, when you look back at old catalogs, or even just like, you know, when you're going through a vintage store that specializes in tailoring, like seeing just how pinstripe just kind of like pops out at you, you know, compared to the other stripes, which I think if you look at them are a bit more subtle in comparison, even if they did have more stripes and more colors on them compared to, I guess, the binary of pinstripe. It's usually like a cream or white on some kind of a base, you know. Commonly it's navy, brown, or gray. In variations thereof, you could have like light gray, charcoal gray, you could have dark blue. The stripes themselves could be very defined versus very light. And so it's just really interesting, just from like I guess a fashion theory perspective of the possibilities that you get with pinstripe and chalkstripe. And I wonder too, I mean, this is kind of hard to find reasoning for, but, you know, like there's something about the verticality of stripes that just seems powerful or imposing.
Yes.
You know, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, certain sports teams, obviously the Yankees obviously have a version of pinstripe on them, because I feel like if you were to call it Bengal or awning, like, of course the stripe itself would be wider, so that's not what this is. But yeah, they're so imposing, which kind of adds to the charm of the particular of this particular fabric and pattern. It makes sense why, you know, if you wanted, you know, rigidity or kind of this like solemnity to your outfit, why it would make sense for a banker or a lawyer or businessman to wear pinstripe to kind of show off that strength. I mean, yes, you could wear a solid suit, but there is something about like taking a pattern and kind of like owning it. You know, it's different than like, you would assume plaid, because it's like a grid, to feel more strict, but it's not. It's just, there's just something about the pinstripe and chalkstripe that's just so interesting to me. I mean, something, you know, there's also the jokes about it being like an inmate's uniform, or like, you know, your being corporate, your corporate. Well, see,
when you say a prison uniform is like, that's a Bengal stripe.
Yeah, definitely an oversized Bengal stripe. It's not not in the shirting width, but I guess the suiting width. And it's also like the kind of aspect, I write about this in the blog post, how it's, you know, it kind of mimics the verticality of like skyscrapers, you know, like if you think about the rise of the businessmen and the rise of skyscrapers in like the you know, like the early 20s or whatever, kind of makes sense, you know. Kiyoshi's always talked about in our Discord and on stream, where, you know, he used to work in the Chicago office, and, you know, it makes sense to wear dark colors and pinstripe suits to match the steel of skyscrapers and buildings. And of course, you know, well, yeah, why not wear those things when you're there? You know, it's the same thing on the opposite, or on the flip side of the coin, when you wear browns, greens, corduroys, plush fabrics, flannels, when you're in the country where there is dirt, there's trees, there are other textures and visual patterns that kind of make more sense in that particular location. So yeah, it's just cool. Also, like, how about looking thin and tall? How about that? You know?
How about that?
Yeah.
Long.
Sometimes I feel, yeah, you look long. I feel like that's a bunch of bunk. You know what I mean? Like a band. Like not saying that like a bunch of hippy dippy baloney.
Yeah.
Like a movie. But I don't deny that there is some kind of stuff at play, but maybe it's because I'm very aware of my height and my weight, and I take a picture of myself every day, that I'm like, I don't think I look particularly taller or thinner when I'm wearing a pinstripe suit. I feel like, if anything, I look cooler, but cooler does not necessarily mean slimmer. Let me tell you, you know, any body type can look cool. Okay.
That's right.
But
Let's
yeah.
hear it for body types.
Yeah. I mean, especially you. I mean, you're taller than both of us, not combined, but you're, you know,
that would be crazy.
You're a tall man.
He's 12 feet tall.
Yeah, you'd be like 12.5 or my math's probably wrong on that. What's 5.8 times 2? That's 11.6.
I could be 11.6.
Yeah.
A Navi height.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Hey, check out
Yeah.
our episode on. Check out our bonus episode on Avatar 2. The Way
Oh my
of
god,
Water.
are we gonna do what about Avatar 3? No
Fire
longer
and
called
Ash?
the,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say it's no longer called the Seed Bearer, which is a bummer, but
I didn't even remember that that's what that was gonna be called.
it was gonna be
Yeah.
called the Seed Bearer.
That's what
Oh,
it was
good.
when- that year.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about that definitely. But yeah, I mean, did you feel taller when you wore yours, Spencer?
I don't think so. I think we were talking
Did you
about
look?
this.
Did you feel slimmer?
I don't think so. But anyway,
I don't think so.
yeah, but no, it's like we were just talking about like the different professions it's associated with, and you kind of said it, but it's like it's always associated with like people of like power.
Power, yeah.
So I did feel like I'm like, oh hell yeah, like this is like badass,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah, when you're like 18 years old
yes,
and
I'm
not
like,
having an office job.
exactly. I'm working at menswear house that I felt very cool over there.
Well, it's kind of funny because sometimes when you look at like movies, like, and maybe this doesn't happen anymore, but like in classic movies up until maybe like the 90s or whatever, like when a guy would go to get like fitted for a suit, usually the tailor or the sales associate or whatever doing measuring, as if he was getting bespoke, but it's usually not the case. They're kind of like wearing either pinstripe in my head or like morning dress, kind of like a butler, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of funny too, where like there is, even if it's not about power, it's about like this like sober, like this kind of like, like, I guess authority doesn't always mean power, but it's like this very like defined presence, and it makes sense, to kind of wear it. But yeah, like I'm also reminded how like pinstripes are kind of Ivy as well, like Ivy trad, and that could also be in how you style it, and we'll get that later. But it's just really cool to see like this particular fabric is such a big part, such a big part of menswear's historic fabric, the fabric of menswear.
That's right.
Pun intended.
We could write a book called The Fabric of Menswear. And that's it. We just
That's
write a
it.
book with that title.
That's any book, but the title's called that.
Yeah. Literally any book.
Yeah.
Could be a mystery.
Like a
the fabric
mystery,
of
the
menswear.
genre mystery, or like
That's right.
we don't know what it is.
I mean, both. Like, maybe
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the book is you pick it up and you start reading it and you're like, what the hell is this book about? And you don't
I
know.
could write that. Oh, I could write that. I
Yeah.
could definitely write a confusing book, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. You've written several.
That's right. And people have to find it. That's the mystery.
Yeah, exactly. The book is so hard to find. That's what makes it a mystery, too.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, what's also fun is seeing how people, like, do... I'm not even getting to the styling of it, because we can get to that later. But if we talk about fabrics, like... Yes, there's worsted, but also you find this in flannel a lot, which is kind of interesting when you think about flannel as being a sporting fabric. But if you really think about it, back then flannel was like, oh, well, when it's cold, you need a flannel suit.
Yeah.
Actually, and also a lot of things back then were made, and by back then I'm talking about like the 1920s to the 40s and 50s. Flannel was like used for anything.
Uh-huh.
You had cream summer trousers made out of fucking flannel.
It's crazy.
I own
Why do
them.
we do
Spencer
that?
had some, because I don't know. I really that's the whole thing. Like they had linen back then. We used to say how back then, like they did have summer fabrics, and they definitely did with like cotton and like linen twill and silk pants or whatever. But they still wore flannels in summertime. They're fucking insane. And by them, I mean the people in the 20s
people
and
in
30s.
the past.
That's right.
Yeah.
Flannel also feels a bit English to me. I mean, that's kind of like an English woolen flannel.
It does.
Something you could
Well,
find.
because it's like, they could wear flannel for like fucking 11 months a year in cold England.
Yeah, jolly cold England.
Maybe I'm being rude to our English friends, so they're going to come out and yell at me.
Yeah. Yeah, the fucking governor's going to come at you and
The governor.
Governor.
The absolute governor.
he's going to pour
He's still wearing his fucking like fleece vest and jacket in
It's
July and August.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
come
insane.
on.
Yeah, but honestly, don't you wish that was us?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit?
little bit.
Little
On
bits.
that note, watching the red shoes, in one of the
Yes.
scenes,
Upcoming bonus episode.
yeah, Craster, he in one scene where he's conducting, he's wearing a pinstripe suit, or chalkstripe suit. He's you can see because his jacket's off, but the trousers are there.
Oh yes.
And I guess you could call that, like, I guess that is day attire. Like, he is at his job as the coach of the orchestra, or the conducting
Yeah.
assistant or whatever. And again, you would think that it's funny because it's like, oh, it's only for business wear, but I guess it's more of just town
Daytime.
attire.
Yeah, it's
you know?
and they're in the city of London at that point, so that makes
Yeah, I guess
sense,
that would make sense. Well, we'll have to see if he's wearing black or brown shoes. I feel like he'd be wearing black shoes because
He's
our
not wearing red
cousins.
shoes.
Oh, that's true. He
Yeah.
might be. Because I remember this is a side note. We've talked about this in our how to pick the right shoes thing, but I remember like getting into an argument because a guy was like, you can't wear brown shoes to work, and I'm like, that's insane. And I
Yeah.
showed there's a 30s photo of a guy wearing not even colorized, an illustration of a guy wearing a navy suit with brown, like dark brown shoes, like not even like not a tan, okay. And the guy says, oh, well, this is an American advertisement. And I'm like, okay, now I get it, because you're British, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can't be seen wearing brown shoes in the office. They'd fucking, I don't know, make him choke on a fucking English muffin or something. I don't
Yes.
know.
Well, I remember this is kind
crumpet?
of unrelated. I remember
Yeah.
like early on in my menswear days, I would see advice of people being like, brown shoes with a blue suit? That you're crazy.
What else do you, I mean, again, the answer is black shoes.
Black
but-
shoes, but I don't know. I wonder if that was like a 2000s, early 2010s thing where men's fashion was still in a very boring period. But it's like that advice I was always like, but I see so many old photos, like, or why you would just try it on. I'm like, but this looks good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. But yeah, anyway, back to it. Flannel can be found there. Also, like linen pinstripe suits, it's more of like a modern thing with like modern printing fabric technology. But you look at Pitti Uomo, you'll have you can find linen in usually a heavier weave, or like a more weightier weave, I should say. Like a 9-ounce linen with a pinstripe on it. Kind of, again, this is kind of weird, but it's kind of like a fun hashtag menswear spin on it, because you're kind of doing something subversive. You're wearing something extremely casual and extremely sporty by wearing linen, but it's with a business pattern. And one of my favorite, I mean, if I could afford Crisper fabric for everything, I would. But I know for a fact Crisper has some pinstripes or chalk stripes, and Crisper is my favorite Holland and Sherry a book. It is like a worsted open weave, a breathable fabric, and it's like a 9-ounce or 9 to 10-ounce or whatever. It's so drapey and weighty. It's so good, and I'm like, I would wear that year round. I wish I would.
Yeah.
But then you also have stuff like Dashing Tweeds, who has made a couple of great cloth books for, or not, I don't know about books. They have books, but like they've made, people have commissioned suits with their fabric, like Buzz of the Anthology, although I don't think he wears that anymore. That might be pre-anthology Buzz. But I know a couple of dandy people have also done that, and that one, it's a very fuzzy stripe to it. It almost feels like they literally like took a thread and sewed it onto the cloth, for a kind of like a fun DIY Tim Burton-y aspect to it, which is a really cool take, I think, on pinstripe, to kind of take the piss out of it being so formal.
Oh yeah. Oh, we should. I think pinstripe is a prime nerd geek fabric too. The nerds and geeks just love that shit. You do see it a lot. I feel like, I don't know. Do you see it a lot in anime? You guys are the anime heads here.
I mean, what's funny is you see it, talk about authority, the naval officers, or the marine officers in One Piece, some of them are wearing variations of pinstripes or Bengal or like boating stripe suits with their admiralty like coat draped on their shoulders in the classic fashion. But yeah, you have some of that on there. But also, I mean, a lot of Japanese styling is very, salaryman stuff is very corporate. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that kind of transfers over as a sign of authority, and plus they have a big reverence for like classic and traditional menswear. But talk about nerdy, I'm thinking about like 2010s hipster stuff in general, where like they're really thin but defined pinstripes. You find those in like cotton blazers.
Oh yeah, I feel like that was a big like Banana Republic H&M.
Yes,
like
H&M.
The Mad Men revival, like that was something. Which is funny because I don't think other than maybe like Roger, they don't really wear pinstripes that much on that show.
Yeah, I think by then also like just in general, pinstripe was kind of like falling out of favor until like the 70s, where you got stripes that kind of came back into it, right?
Yeah. But anyway, I like when like dapper dandy, like Mad Men type stuff was coming back into like mall stores. I feel like you would always see those like crazy thick pinstripes, or not thick, but like really defined thin stripes, or thin stripes. That could be a new one.
Yeah,
pinstripes.
There's all like those thin ones. I feel like I did have some kind of like cotton blazer back in high school or something. That, like you wear it with like a V-neck untucked with cargo shorts.
Yes,
very
yeah.
very decom Disney Channel original movie kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Shout out John again for that one. Bring that back. But I did find like an old GQ article, and oh my god, I'm gonna put this somewhere. It's funny because it's so old. You clearly like they had like the new format of GQ's website does not bring it over, but. This is Victor Cruz. I don't know who that is. I'm sure it's a model, or if it's a celebrity, please let me know. But he's wearing a very thin but very well-defined pinstripe suit that has the highest buttoning point and the shortest jacket I've ever seen. You can see at least 3 inches of like the bottom, like basically the fly down to his fork. So basically the jacket is like at his hips. He's wearing that with a pink plaid button-down collar shirt and a cream tie with like burnished, like these like looks like Berluti ass, like really really burgundy red polished derbies, wingtip derbies, and he's got like a red raincoat or some kind of like bag on his shoulder. But yeah, again, these thin pinstripes worn with skinny ties and plaid shirts. Very #menswear, very GQ 2011. I'm sure I have other photos of like Stephen Yun wearing something similar there.
I mean, or we could talk about the Pity Peacock. I feel like pinstripes are essential to the Pity Peacock look.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it's funny because like Italian men, I feel like would wear it. So like a lot of the stuff about #menswear and menswear media, it's kind of like it's about. I said it earlier, taking the piss out of pinstripes. Like I feel like that's why like the thin stripes, or doing like really crazy ways of applying the stripes to it and having different color bases. Like it's all ways for people to kind of like, subvert the classic sobering idea of what pinstripes and chalkstripes were meant to be. Like, oh, this is not the office guy. This is like a young, I don't know, software engineer. This is a little SEO ad professional in 2011. I mean. Literally right here from the article, where those chalk white lines once did for something, they eventually became viewed as nothing more than a pretty unimaginative way around to add some patterning to a suit. So now designers have just had to resurrect it, and now by reimagining pinstripes as a modern fabric that calls for a contemporary cut has become once again acceptable, and an even stylish suit choice. Try it out. Channel your inner Al Capone and pick yourself up one. Just tell your tailor to hem those pants up. You don't want to have the mob. You might want the mobster style, but you don't want the mobster cut. And Jake Gallagher wrote that back in 2012.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, compare this to like I have some of the talk about how people used to wear them back in the day. We have access to the Esquire book, Encyclopedia of Menswear, and I'm not going to read every single one here, but. The book, if you're not familiar with it, is like a collection of like menswear historians or technically old writers for Esquire for fashion, and they decided to write like this like basically history book, and they would write about different things that came in and out of style for each decade until like 1974, whenever this book fucking came out. And here in the 40s, right here, darker blues and grays became popular. Darker blue worsteds and banker's gray flannel with chalk stripes were the choices of very well-dressed men. You have another thing here, a menswear survey in 1929 of flannel trousers being worn in Palm Beach, the location, season revealed the following data. 54% wore block-striped trousers. 18% wore pinstriped and cluster-striped. And also, I think we said it back at the top of the episode, but if we didn't, striped odd trousers were very big in the early 30s. They loved wearing those things.
Yes.
It was kind of like a golfing thing as well. Like there's one of the photo of a guy wearing a navy blue cardigan with a gray chalk striped trousers. That's kind of interesting, you know. But yeah, people did break them up. Sometimes you would see in European stuff, people would wear striped jackets with odd trousers, not always with white pants, but they would wear it with like gray trousers or navy blue pants. People were pretty crazy. Um, in in 1930s and the color combinations, people wore a lot of chocolate, dark green, and maroon. Blue and white accessories were strong because they wore them with a dark blue pinstripe tropical worsted suit with a medium blue shirt and a blue polka dot tie on a white ground. I feel like pinstripes and dots are found a lot together. I like the kind of the combination of different,
yeah.
you know. But
Because
yeah,
you got the line and the circle, both of them,
That's
both
right.
major shapes.
I want to put my line into some circles. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah, men.
That's hell yeah.
Yeah. In the 1960s, the Regency double-breasted jacket of 1969 had 3 sets of buttons in parallel arrangement and high roll lapels. I'm assuming this is like the very Edwardian kind of look, the 3-button double-breasted jacket. And the shapely back showed deep side vents. Chalk stripe fabrics of a medium or lightweight were used for this type of suit. And if you think about it, that's true. In the Edwardian revival, you saw a lot of striped suits in those like DB configurations, or those Edwardian DB configurations. So yeah, there's also like there's so much of this in the book that kind of references how often people enjoyed wearing pinstripes and chalk stripes. And what makes it more pointed is seeing how people styled it. And I feel like when you look at like banking and everything like that, obviously you wear it with solid colors. Maybe if it was a blue shirt's a little bit casual, but blue striped shirt, club collars with like a solid gray tie, or even like a gray like chevron tie, or a gray Prince of Wales check tie. Like those are pretty popular to wear with pinstripe suits. That was very formal. It feels like, blues, blacks, and grays together just straight up feel corporate, rich, luxurious, strict. It's when you look at a lot of stuff in English attire, it's the same kind of thing there. Although English people might have added some more fun to it, because again, like we said earlier, the English seem to enjoy wearing pinstripes all the time in the city. It's a city suit, and so you wear it with like artillery ties, which is a bit of a fun thing. I don't know exactly if an artillery tie is business appropriate, because it's kind of weird, but it's very English, and it's military.
I don't know. I feel like
maybe now it's okay, but
I think now it's okay. I don't know. Back then, I would assume that maybe, like, if you were in the artillery and you got a job, in the civilian world, you should be allowed to wear that fucking tie. You almost died for your country.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Almost. You should. You should die for your country.
Yes, that's right. You all should. Don't say that. I'm talking to myself here. There's also, you could wear it with like regimental stripes. There's a lot of like English stuff. You can see that with, with stripes. It feels very like Prince Charles. He would wear a lot of stripes with pinstripe suits. I feel like back in the day, we loved to do triple stripes, because I feel like maybe it was out of spite or something, where that's like the one thing that you see all the time. It's like, okay, well, if you have stripes and you like on the pattern matching or mixing guides, it's like don't wear too many stripes at once, because then it's going to get cluttered. And we would say like, fuck that. And then we would just wear striped shirt, striped suit, striped tie to prove that you could do it. Yeah,
I really, again, look, when I lean into like the English thing, it's striped. It's like a striped university striped shirt with a like block stripe tie and then like pinstripe suit. That seems so cool to me. Like that's such a great combination. Or stripes with like club ties, I feel like is also a very English way of doing it. There's also, I feel like, there's something about pinstripes and chalk stripes that feels inherently vintage. I feel like that's because if you look at the history of it, right, it feels very corporate, and as corporate attire has lessened, only like the diehard trads or the assholes are the ones who are wearing pinstripe and chalk stripe. And so it feels dandy inherently, but also depending on how you do it, it'll feel old school, because that's what people kind of assume of pinstripes, right? It's not really something. It doesn't feel contemporary. It's intentionally anachronistic, and so when you have like this is especially too, I think with like a brown chalkstripe suit, which that kind of feels old because brown is something people don't really wear as suits a lot, and so many great photos, and inspiration feels really great when you do it that way, especially if you do it something in like a flannelly, like a textured fabric. But like that's really cool. It feels like a country take on like on a city fabric. So like that's a fun way of like kind of pointing it toward being more vintage, vintage regular guy versus like being corporate or formal. And I feel like there you can have some fun with like some ties. You know, you could wear it with you could wear like the denim shirt or chambray shirt or something like that. There's also the fact that you could do it like 90s style too. Like that's kind of a different one. Instead of doing it with like a stripe or a like a pin dot or like a Macclesfield tie, geometrics, you could do it with like an abstract tie. You know, I feel like that's kind of it's been in, you know, lately, and people can wear, you know, really straight up look like an old Canali ad by wearing it with like some crazy like splotchy vertical 90s abstract tie.
Yeah.
You know, Armani. It's funny because like you could wear it with an Armani tie, but Armani I think mainly stuck to like tonal stuff, so you'd have to wear it with like, I guess, with a Ralph Lauren suit. And in that way too, I feel like Ralph Lauren kind of owns pinstripe too in a way.
Oh my god, yes, especially the man himself. But like, yeah, I mean, if you Google like Ralph Lauren like purple label, the first thing you're gonna see is a bunch of like, you know, really sharp like dark navy pinstripe suits and stuff like that.
Yeah, always with like a club or like shield, like some kind of like motif tie as well. It feels like incredibly like it just feels like a part of the Ralph Lauren signature look. I mean, you look at like the old 80s and 90s, you know, photos like there's guys wearing that with like polo coats. It looks very cool. And nowadays, yeah, like that is like what the look is, especially with white pants. When you take the jacket off and put it with white pants, it feels very Ralph Lauren. It almost turns like the jacket from being a pinstripe, like, you know, business thing into like a pseudo boating jacket. You know, obviously boating stripes are a big thing, and pinstripes and chalk stripes are not a boating stripe, but it's kind of like you're in that vein. You know what I mean? When you're doing it that way with white pants and like sockless loafers or something like that. It's a very Ralph Lauren way of dressing it, and Ralph Lauren in general, I feel like one of the strengths of the brand, of course, for the past like fucking 70 years, whatever it is like, you know, the ability to take coded things and kind of like lean into it or to subvert it. And I think pinstripe is something that they definitely understand the cultural connotations of pinstripe and chalkstripe, and they definitely leverage it with their clothing. And of course, lots of guys today do it in the same way, you know.
Yes.
Like I feel like the theme of pinstripe and chalkstripe is like most people like to lean into it. You know what I mean? Like you're not. This is not like just a normal navy or brown suit. Like this is something that you know what it is. It's kind of like a white suit in that way, right? Like when you wear a white suit,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it normal. Like no, when I wear a white suit, I'm wearing it with white bucks. I'm wearing it with a straw hat. I'm wearing it with like an aloha tie. Like I want to feel like I'm on vacation or I'm in, you know, I'm having some leisure time or I'm Tom Wolfe. And with a chalk stripe suit, when I'm wearing it, it's like, you know, you gotta look like an English asshole, a corporate asshole, a yuppie asshole.
You just gotta look like an asshole.
That's right. Yeah, one of those ones.
Yeah.
A Ralph Lauren asshole.
I mean, I was gonna say, I think one of my first suits ever, like when I was a little baby boy, was pinstripe. I feel like that was a very. I don't know if this is just my experience or if you guys noticed this when we were children, I guess. But I feel like in the, I guess, early 2000s, pinstripe was a very common thing that you would see in like the kids section of like suiting stores or something. It's like, you know, baby's first fabric or baby's first pattern, I guess.
Babies should wear pinstripe suits more often. Actually.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because if they want to be bankers, you know, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, which is being a baby.
Well, my job, yeah. Well, when I was a baby, my job was pooping.
And how about throwing up? Because that was my job for sure.
I was trying to get that track, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it's a nice job
manager,
if you can get it.
Yeah, my manager told me kept me on the poop track.
Poop track. But anyway, I know that I definitely had
You're
one
the
of the
dad.
like an actual like navy with like, you know, really visible pinstripes. But I'm pretty sure I also had one of the, and this is like still probably maybe the most common if you see a pattern suit at like just a men's warehouse, or maybe now like Joseph A. Bank, so one of the slightly more old school places.
Yeah.
Is like pinstripe, but it's like really subtle pinstripe, because it'll be a navy suit with like slightly lighter or darker navy stripes on it, and so it's not something you really notice until you get close up. But I guess in theory, adds some texture.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I see that a lot in the quote unquote like normie, like non-fashion enthusiast suit world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's fun to see what kinds of people, how they often adopt into it, because like a lot of guys, for some reason, despite pinstripes being so luxurious or whatever, it does feel like a thrifted suit kind of a thing. And maybe that's because people just mass produced a lot of pinstripe or chalkstripe stuff back in the day, in very bad 3-button, 2-button, low buttoning DB jackets. And that's maybe why you see a lot of like these like newbie guys, or people like they thrift a suit, they feel like they look really cool, unfortunately, but then it's just because they're trying to bank on the stripes overpowering the rest of it. But obviously the suit's like not that good. I guess that's just proof for everything, right? Where you have to have all of it all together. It's got to be tasteful, and it's got to fit right, and it's got to have the right details. But I mean, yeah, anyway, to go back to it, I mean, also like there's a way of like completely subverting the pinstripe suit. I mean, I've seen guys wear it with like t-shirts, right? I feel like that's kind of like an 80s 90s gangster, like mobster thing, where you wear like a pinstripe suit with like a black t-shirt with like a chain or kind of thing or whatever, or like a knits polo sweater or something like kind of like that. But there's also people who wear them with like like band t-shirts. And I think that's kind of an interesting way to kind of put a spin on it. And I feel like it's not really leaning into the history of the pinstripe suit, but it's kind of like acknowledging it and like really rebelling against it, right? It's like talk about corporate cage. Like I was wearing the band t-shirt underneath my monkey suit the whole time, and so I'm like rebelling. But I think it's kind of fun to see like a black, I don't know, Grateful Dead or like Metallica, I don't know, what do people listen to, a black t-shirt with a pinstripe suit. Like I see that a lot with like Belgians.
The Bracelands. Ethan Newton has done that, right?
Yeah, or at least he's doing something kind of like that. I think there's one picture of Lawrence Schlossman, our friends over at Throwing Fits. He has like a striped suit. I don't know if we call it a pinstripe exactly, but it's a striped suit with like Belgians and like an Outcast t-shirt. So like a rap t-shirt. And that's I think that's really cool. I think it's kind of, again, a fun way. But typically for me, I feel like I would just lean into it. Like I like leaning into the vibes of what the pinstripe suit is.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
But granted, I also like I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to say like it's kind of fun to wear it with like suede shoes and like a brown hat. Like I know that the thing is my purview is kind of based on apparel arts, and apparel arts is American. I feel like it is, and it is subversive in the fact that they promote this thing called semi-sports a lot, which is like kind of like what we do, kind of like mixing of town and country styling. And in a lot of cases, like people are wearing brown hats and brown shoes and brown suede shoes with pinstripe and chalkstripe. And that's, again, people would think that that's a little bit too subversive, if you're thinking of in terms of formality. But that's how they did it back then. And I feel like I like doing that. Like in my head, a pinstripe suit with a brown suede Oxford feels cool. It feels vintage. It feels like something I've seen vintage people do, and it's something I've seen from like again, old photographs and illustrations.
Yeah. No, well, I was gonna say I do kind of like it, and we have some examples of this subverted with like a Hawaiian shirt or something.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Shirt. I think that looks great. If you wanted to, I don't know, like kind of hew a little bit closer to like the original, or I guess the formality kind of implied by the suit, then doing it with like a plain sport shirt, I think is very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a couple examples of that. And I know that's something the Brycelands guys have done, but I really like that one. Haven't you done that for some like summer pool party or something?
Yeah, I've done some stuff like that. I also have worn, in particular, I love the picture of Ethan Newton wearing his sports shirt with the pinstripe suit with a Western hat. I feel like the kind of like Western, I mean, the chalkstripe suit is prime for like Western accoutrement. You know what I mean? Like you wear that with like with cowboy boots and like a fucking Western shirt and a hat. That's just like such a, again, another great way to take the piss out of the pinstripe suit. You know, I guess like, yeah, country is the rap of America. That's not true. That doesn't mean anything actually. But I like that.
Okay.
And again, like the aloha shirt with the pinstripe suit is also very, very cool to me. Shout out Arnold Wong for also doing a lot of that. But yeah, maybe let's finish off here with like the ones that we've owned. So Spencer, what did you? How did you wear yours? Did you only have that one?
I
The
think
gray
so.
one?
I think that was my one pinstripe. My dream suit back in the day, which I never was able to get
Yeah.
because they're very expensive and very rare,
Yeah.
was a single-breasted peak lapel navy striped suit. Jay had one of these, and I was so jealous of him. But he had a 30s one that I don't know what he did with that one. I hope it went to a good home if he no longer owns it. But anyway, he had that. I always thought that looked so cool. So I really wanted one. The one that I had, I already described at the beginning. It was the gray flannel one,
That's right.
and that one was so cool. I think I sold that to Joyride. But boy, oh boy, was it good. I definitely should have kept that one. And I still really like gray, like kind of like a lighter, like not a charcoal, but like a lighter or medium gray chalk stripe. That is in my mind, a really, really cool looking pattern, and something, like I said, I wish I still had.
Yeah, that gray again is like, yeah, the mid gray chalk stripe suit is so English to me. It's so good. I wish I still had mine. You know, so like I said, I've owned a couple actually. I mean, that's just Ethan in a nutshell. I've owned everything I've ever wanted in various variations over the years. My first ever custom suit, just in general, was from Indochino, and it was a navy blue linen pinstripe. And it was great. You know, I had the foresight to make the pants a little bit high waisted. The trousers weren't too slim, at least compared to other pants I wore back in those days. It was definitely meant to be kind of like this like mix of what I wanted contemporarily and as a nod to vintage. Obviously, my body did not, and my taste didn't go well with it moving forward, and it went to my friend Garrett Gooch, who wore it for years until very recently. I think he sold it off, but it's great. I mean, it's a little bit on the vibrant side because it's pinstripes, so it's very defined, and of course the linen, the navy part kind of fades, so the white of the stripes was very, very in your face, but it was very great. I loved it. The Indochino DB wasn't too bad, like the lapel shape and the spacing of the buttons and everything. So it really was one of my favorite suits for a long time. I wore the shit out of it. If you guys remember seeing it, like I wore it to a couple of vintage events. I wore it to, I think, Spencer's dad's wedding, I think, a long time ago, which was really great. I copied that outfit recently. I wore it. So basically, obviously, I know Spencer was wearing black tie because I think you were in the wedding. You were wearing a DB, and I think me and Jay both decided to wear DBs and match because he had a pinstripe suit as well that was custom from Korea, I think, when he went there a couple of years ago. Almost a decade ago, I guess I should say. But I wore mine with a like blue polka dot bow tie with a white shirt and spectator shoes. And to me, again, talk about dots with the stripes. It just looks so good. Like together, it just feels so old. You know, it's a little bit of like Winston Churchill-y kind of this kind of aspect to it.
I was going to say very Churchill.
Yeah, and I love it. I rewore the outfit recently with white bucks instead of spectators because I don't own spectators anymore. But I loved wearing the shit out of it. For a while, it was like one of my only like custom suits, like I said. So I wore it in the wintertime with like a roll neck because I thought that roll necks with pinstripes look really, really cool. I took it with me on a trip to New Orleans, which is one of the first blog posts ever as well. And we had like one fancy, 5-star dinner or whatever I don't know where it was, at the Commander's Palace. And I wore it. And I feel like I've seen Ralph Lauren wear this, or someone wear this, but I wore it with a white shirt and a like cream khaki tie, I guess. Yeah, like it feels very like, it felt very minimalistic. It felt very cool to wear, and that was again one of my favorite looks. I will probably do that again sometime in the near future because it's just a good look. But after that, I had a couple more. I had a total of 3 true vintage 40s chalkstripe pinstripe suits. I had it in the mid gray, which I wore a lot. I with at least a couple of these I wore them at least until I worked at Ascot Chang, and so they were with me for a long time. Yeah, so the mid-gray one, I had a brown one, which was great. I wore that to Scott's graduation. I wore that a couple times. I've worn that with like a runaway collar. I think like we said with sports shirts, runaway collars in general look really great with pinstripe suits. Again, taking the piss out of it. And then I also had a crazy one, which was like this like European, I don't know if it was German, Swedish, whatever, but it was like a navy flannel chalk stripe suit with like crazy sharp but narrow lapels with upturned peaks, kind of a narrow 4-button closure. The trousers themselves were kind of pegged with a fishtail back, side tab adjusters, belt loops. It was crazy. And it was so heavy. It was a waste of money because I wore it like twice. I wore it in Dapper Day. I was dying. But I wore that with like a brocade tie. But to shout out Garrett Cooper, I subverted the formal look by wearing Spencer's flat cap that evening.
Yes, and that is such a great suit. I know it's too heavy for the Southern California heat, but wow, what a good suit.
I know, and it's gone. I don't know who has that now. But what's funny there is that the suit was so old that the stripes themselves were also fading, like in like the knee and like the elbows and everything, and all the points of tension. So I had all of that. I got rid of them because again the shoulders were a little bit too big. The buttoning point on the 40s was a little bit lower. I feel like maybe if the buttoning point was a little bit high, if it was more of like a 30s jacket, which is again, if you guys know how to date garments, the buttoning would be higher, and maybe less padded in the shoulders. I would maybe have kept them, but I didn't. But when I started to get more into Ivy and more contemporary menswear, kind of bridge the gap, I did get a Southwick, I think, sack pinstripe suit.
Oh, that's super nice.
And that was really cool. The spacing on it was close to like what you would expect from a chalkstripe suit, except it was, or maybe it was a chalkstripe suit actually. But that was really fun. That was where I leaned more into like English styling. I wore that with like regimental stripes. Obviously, super inspired by Jake Grantham of Anglo-Italian. Anglo-Italian in general does pinstripes really well. They wear it with like plain shirts, plain ties, or like very muted brown stripes and whatever. It's so good. But I wore that a lot during my Ivy era. And I would still wear it now if I just didn't get the pants tapered like I did, because I was so scared. This was like in 2016 or whatever, when I was still trying to figure out that I just wanted to keep everything wide. I did not with that suit. And so the trousers were just a little bit too pegged and also cropped a little bit short. They might have been also, one of those things where I added the fake cuff, So I had that, but I had that for a long time, and I gave that one up also to a friend. Oh yeah, I also had a gray sack jacket as well. I got that. That's also a Southwick one in like a $25. I had a brown pinstripe. Oh my god, I've had so many of these. Holy shit! And again, with all of these, I got them all kind of early, and again before I embraced the wide fit. In not just true vintage, and because these were more contemporary, I got them all tapered. But again, you look at all the photos, I wore them 30s style, I wore them yuppie style, I wore them with like polo shirts. I did a lot of great stuff with them. And I took a break for a long time because, I outgrew the stuff. I want to do wide fit stuff, and I decided to, as you guys know, revamp my wardrobe and kind of go more into what you see it as today. And a pinstripe and chalkstripe suit just didn't feel like I needed it right away. Mm-hmm. Until last year, where I was like, you know what? I think it's time, baby. I think I want it. I commissioned from Fugue I guess a pinstripe suit because it's a little bit. I call it a chalk stripe, but it's a little bit vibrant. Navy base striped suit in a DB closure, in the classic Fugue cut. Extended soft shoulders, and the big pants, 10-inch hems. And I love it. I got it in February. It takes like 2 months to make it. And I've worn it a lot. I've worn it with like, like classic Ralph way or like the 80s with like a cream tie. I've worn it with like regimental striped ties or rep striped ties. I've worn it with a bow tie, like I said earlier. I still have yet to do it, at least at the time of recording, with like an Aloha shirt or like or with like some kind of like a fun sports shirt. Something also in the backlog right now is an old photo of me, inspired by an old photo of me where I wore a black polo shirt with the Indochino DB with like gray trousers and like fake Belgians from Zara. And I love that look. It's inspired by a look that I see from Chad Park, where he's sitting cross-legged in a chair wearing a very, very wide pinstripe suit with gray odd trousers, and I love that. Even though it's kind of hashtag menswear again, it's kind of like a version of like the boating jacket with like white pants. It's like a corporate version of that, let's say, and I love it. And it's sitting in the backlog right now. I'm gonna wear it tomorrow to trivia, and it's gonna be a send up of an outfit I did like 10 years ago, of an outfit I saw that Chad Park wore like 14 years ago, or whatever. And so. Yeah, I've been enjoying wearing my pinstripe suit. I can't wait into fall where I wear it with like a brown felt fedora, wear it with a beret. It's so funny because like I don't think that it takes too much effort to wear it, even though I know a lot of people are intimidated by pinstripes. I think people are in awe, or they want to respect the power of the stripes, the corporate look. But what's funny is that when you have it, it almost feels like you know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Like it feels like there's a natural inclination to, again, be yuppie. Wear it with like a contrast collar shirt, a banker collar shirt with like a fun abstract tie. Wear it with a solid tie to get the like kind of like cool 90s minimalism, or like wear it with a bow tie and get your inner Churchill out. It to me, it just feels so easy whenever I wear it, as opposed to like a navy blue suit where I have to think of a little bit more of like, okay, how do I want to wear this navy blue suit? With the pinstripe suit, it just feels like, oh, I wouldn't have brought it out of the closet if I didn't know how I was gonna wear it, and that's the kind of like the joy, of the pinstripe suit. And it's kind of funny that it's like my first ever custom suit. Like it ties directly to my past, my journey, in menswear.
I was going to say, one of the reasons maybe people are hesitant to wear it is like, I feel like in fiction, when there's a character that is supposed to be like dapper or fancy, like the number one thing is always like a pinstripe suit.
Harvey Specter, right? Like
yes, exactly. Yeah. So maybe people are like, whoa,
if you're not him, I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not him.
Well, that's funny because they do say that. I remember reading somewhere that's like, if you're like a new associate, like you don't deserve to wear a pinstripe suit or a chalkstripe suit, And I think it's funny that when you're younger and you're into vintage, where dressing up is essentially cosplay. I know people don't like that term, but like you get to play that up, because it's like you're not in the work environment where these decisions make your future or not. Like this is kind of funny. So you get to be like you and I were, the 18-year-olds wearing a chalkstripe suit, where in history it would be a guy with more gravitas and experience, but we get to do that. But something that I've realized, talk about it connecting to my past, as I become a corporate guy, working in advertising or whatever, like it kind of makes sense that I own a pinstripe suit. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a finance guy, but I feel like just in general, like the corporate look is kind of fun, and I feel like maybe that's one reason why I like to lean into it a little bit more. But kind of like, it points to the future as well as the past. You know what I'm saying? But also like I love wearing it. I mean, I still have, now that I have one again, I am filled with so many ideas that I will probably retroactively add into the blog post of like me doing with like a Western shirt and like a Western fedora, berets, like I said. I don't know if I would do bucket hat. I feel like that's a little too casual. Like a bucket hat or beanie, that's too much. I feel like I need a fully brimmed hat or like a beret, something more sleek. I wouldn't do a pinstripe suit with sneakers, for example. I wouldn't even do it with sockless trousers. I feel sockless shoes, loafers. I feel like it just means, I need to have the full sock. I need full hosiery.
That's right. Let's get the hosiery in here.
That's right. Before we close, Spencer, have you worn yours broken up, or how do you feel about the broken up look?
I don't know if I would.
Okay.
Well, it would depend on what it's made of, because if it's like flannel, maybe, but definitely not with a worsted. I technically do wear mine broken up a lot, because little Chekhov's gun at the beginning I mentioned, I had one pinstripe suit that was navy with red and blue stripes, and that is my double-breasted jacket that I've worn several times. And I feel like that with the stripe is like subtle enough that I've done it before. I think I've done that with a couple of my other vintage suits, but again, like typically they've been like kind of rougher, quote, more casual fabrics. So that's the time that I break up the pinstripe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it if it looked super business. Maybe navy and white or navy like pinstripe with white pants.
I guess you could do it with like polo shirts. Like you kind of make it lean into the casualness of it,
But again, I think it would defend. It would depend on the cloth.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm wondering if my redo of that outfit with the gray trousers is gonna look as good as I think it did back then. Also, it's a part of the future blog post where it's about us wearing our old outfits with our new taste and sensibilities. But
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be cool. But white pants. I feel like is the easiest way to do it. I don't know if it makes it better that the jacket is DB versus SB. I don't know. Like when it's an SB with odd trousers, it feels more like a boating jacket. But when it's a DB, it also feels cooler because it feels like more like a jacket in general because of like the overlapping fabric. I don't know, but I feel like I'm kind of into wearing the jacket separately. I feel like I would do it with like black jeans. I wouldn't do it with like blue jeans, but I would rather wear like a navy blazer with jeans as opposed to it's supposed to do like a pinstripe. But maybe I'm just not that great. Maybe I have
Yeah,
to
I
lean into
feel-
like wearing a black ratty merch T-shirt.
I mean, yeah, actually, maybe doing like a navy pinstripe with like kind of like beat up jeans. That's kind of cool.
Okay, you got to do that.
Yeah, there
Somehow.
you go. Once I get a jacket, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about pinstripe trousers? I feel that's tough. That's really tough.
I mean, there's one. I don't know. I mean, like you said, that's a very 20s, 30s thing. I think maybe gray pinstripe would be good. I've seen a lot of like odd trousers from the 20s and 30s that are like a
Striped.
kind of gray striped, like chambray or something, or just this kind of like rough cotton or rough wool,
Yeah.
like a tropical wool. I feel like that does kind of look good with, I don't know, like isn't it one of my favorite illustrations? I think well, no, you know which ones I love is I love your white striped trousers. Those are like to me.
Oh,
like,
the
so,
white pinch. Yeah, it was a cream
very
trousers
20s.
with cream trousers with like a dark navy blue stripe.
Yeah, I love that. So
Yeah.
that's I would definitely do something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I should
Break those out. That's a good summer pant. I mean,
I-
they might
I-
be really heavy, but
they were flannel and I don't own them anymore.
okay. Well,
yeah.
break them out of their current home. Whoever
Yeah.
owns them now, break in.
Yeah, is that MJ or is that Jay? Is that
Knock, knock, knock.
is that Joyride? Who knows? Who's got them?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I had the gray ones, I would do it. Navy pinstripe odd trousers, kind of hard. I don't know how. Here's navy odd stripe trousers, black sleek boots with like a leather jacket. I feel like leaning into like the kind of mod aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like
That's
you could
kinda
do
cool,
it that
yeah.
way. But that's kind of getting away from what this whole episode was about. It's about the whole fucking suit, baby. Going full send, and that's kind of the theme of my entire life. Going full send into every outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So MJ, as we close, are you sold? I mean, you might have been pre-sold on this because
Yeah.
you had to see us compile all the notes and the images, and you were like, "I need it more than ever," right?
Yeah, I think I've been pre-sold for a long time now, so it's just
I
mad.
mean, to be fair, that's me and Spencer too. Like as a kid, I mean, as for like budding vintage enthusiasts, like we always wanted the pinstripe suit. Like that's
Yeah,
just
because it's very, very vintage.
Yeah,
coded.
I mean we said it like near the beginning of the episode, the whole like
yeah,
being exposed to the like the connotations of like the suit being cool, or like it's like the gangster like suit to wear. So
yeah. None of these are bad things. These are things that you want to be,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
and wearing it is a way to straight up just do those things.
yeah, so I feel like even before getting into clothes or whatever, it was kind of the seed was already planted,
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, yeah. That's I'm sure that's how it is for the rest of you guys listening. I'm sure that all of you guys have been into this. Maybe you guys already wear them. Let us know. Let us know how you guys wear them, how you love wearing them, which types of pinstripe, chalk stripe, rope stripe, bead stripe, track stripe suits that you guys.
That's right.
All fucking
Stripes,
five of them. But if you guys have your own thoughts on them, please feel free to comment on one of our posts on that. Share them with us. Hey, post it in the Sad Head Saturday Thursday. I think that this garment is so special. Like it's like you said, like Spencer said, it's so vintage coded, and as MJ said, it is so tied to so many different aesthetics and vibes that it really kind of is like it encapsulates what menswear is all about, like this rich history and expressing things, and it makes it right for you to pick what you want to be or how you want to subvert it.
Talk about the fabric of menswear.
Talk about the fabric of menswear, baby. It's the chalk stripe and pinstripe suit. It's woven right in.
Yes.
Much like their stripes. Well, thank you guys for listening to the episode. I hope you've
Yeah.
enjoyed it. If you want us, help contribute to the podcast and keep us going, even though we'll do it forever, we appreciate it. So $5 a month, you can give it to us by going to patreon.com/downdirection. Those $5 a month gives you access to our whole slew of bonus episodes where we talk about movies, like The Red Shoes coming out soon.
That's
or
right.
Before or after this, I forgot how this is going to come out. But it's stuff like that if you guys are interested in movies. There's also our Discord, which is a lot of fun, full of other like-minded guys who love us and love clothing. So talk with us there. And $10 a month is no different, but we do say your name at the end of each episode. So MJ, who are we thanking?
We are thanking our Sadcast fanatics, Shane Curry, Philip Gregard, Henrik Wilberg, welcome Mason Ritchie, and Alexander Batten.
Hey! Thank you, Mason.
Yes, thank you, Mason, for joining us. We really appreciate it. As always, you can follow the Instagram at Style and Direction. Also, read my essay on the Pinstripe and Chalkstripe Suit. You can find that on a little bit of rest.com.
You had to rewind yourself for a second.
That's right. Yeah, just a little my nipple, my little
Your nipple?
buttons. My nipple buttons, bro.
The dial.
Yeah.
The dials, yeah, tuning into Tokyo. Gotta rewind the Filipino, you know what I'm saying? That's me. Yeah, so at Style and Direction and a little bit of rest.com. I'm at Ethan M. Wong.
I'm at Spencer DSO.
And I'm at MJ.
We'll see you guys next time. Take it
That's
sleazy.
the end of our
Gangstas.
podcasting day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.